Hiya Tim, lovely to spend some time with you again on the range and do some further work on your game. Just a quick recap on the key points that we covered. The area that you were concerned about was your longer clubs and the fact that you were hitting the ground slightly behind the golf ball on occasion and getting the ball to over curve to the left sort of every now and again. A real bad one would be a low hooky one. First thing we discussed was the club face position and the fact that you would never want to have the club face square at impact if you were attacking the ball from in to out. The path of the club is going to curve the ball and the ball's going to start where the club face points. Therefore, if the club face is square, the ball's going to start straight. If we're swinging into out, the ball's going to curve left, so there's your overdraw. If you put numbers on it, you would want a club face, not that these are definitive numbers, but to give you a sort of a feel for things. If your club face was 2 degrees open and your path was 4 degrees into out, you'd get a lovely little push draw every time. The trajectory of the shots would increase. If you notice when you were on the range the other day, the ones that went left and overdrew were lower because the club face was squarer and therefore had less loft on it. In regards to your golf swing, because you're working under the pretense that you've got to release the golf club, the thing we see is from the top, the club starts to get released very early. You can see there the wrists unhinging very, very early. So you can see here now the club head is going to travel and the hands haven't really moved. The club head's travelled about what, 13-14 inches before the hands actually start to work down, so there's a very early release or uncocking of the wrist. And what happens there with that is that when we uncock the wrist too early before the arms swing down, so we dump the wrist early and the club gets very much underplane coming into the golf ball. When the club is underplane coming into the golf ball, we hit out at the golf ball excessively, exits very high, and the ball stands a good chance of overdrawing. Also, when the radius of the swing is expanding, as is happening with yourself, so again, if we take a little look at this, there's the club head, there's the hands, club head's travelling, hands haven't started down yet, and there's still a lot of movement on the club head. The radius of your swing now is much wider than it should be, and therefore the low point of your swing is going to be behind the golf ball. So too much releasing of the club too soon. Now there will be club face rotation, but as we discussed, it shouldn't be a conscious effort. So what we've done here is we've placed this tube behind your golf ball, and all that is for is to discourage you from widening the radius of the swing. That's all it's there for. So from the top of the golf swing now, as you start down, you can see that the hands and the club start down together. So it's not a case of unhinging the wrists and then the arms kicking in. The hands and arms and club all come down together as a unit. The angle in the wrist is maintained for much longer, and as a result, the club now, rather than being underplane, is nicely on plane. So dumping the wrist early gets us underplane. Now as we come into impact, instead of being really shallow, really from the inside, we've got a touch more descent, we're much more on plane. As we come through the hitting area, we don't hit out at it as much. Exit still high, that's stuff we can work on in subsequent sessions. But overall, a better sequenced golf swing. Less independent movement of the wrists at the start of the downswing. So if you're starting down, don't be releasing the club. That will be your key thought. No release. Continuously reminding yourself, no release. Good luck with it, and I look forward to working with you further in a couple of weeks' time. Well done.